Welcome everybody to day 3 of the Personalized Health Summit 2015. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for making the time out of your busy schedules to invest into your own health and happiness. I'm super excited to welcome our amazing guest here today, Angie Johnsey. But first, I'd just love to give you a bit of a brief reminder of the intention of this summit. And the intention of this summit is 100% for you to find out amazing information that's coming from 30 experts all over the world in various fields of nutrition, exercise, sleep, consciousness, mindfulness, happiness. Today we're talking about the mind, about emotions and about consciousness. And it really is just a way that we can pull this information together for you to really find out how unique you are, what's right for you, and how you can move towards a place of health and happiness. So a huge thanks to our sponsors, Ultimate Human Foundation, who are working towards the elimination of chronic pain and disease from the planet. And a huge thank you to PHU60, our major sponsor, who's really starting to understand more about personalized health and bring this information in a tangible way to us so that we can actually apply this in our lives through various things like we eat and how we move, the people we hang out with, and amazing things like that. So please check out phU60.me if you haven't already. The biggest thank you of all is to you for being here. Without further ado, we're going to jump straight into talking with Angie Johnsey. Angie is a master practitioner in the healing arts with a focus on energy medicine and expanding consciousness. After a career in psychiatric nursing, followed by hypnotherapy, Angie incorporates the power and plasticity of consciousness and subconscious minds into daily life to create meaningful and lasting change in one's reality. Angie celebrates the spirit's ability to master the mind, bringing emotional stability and peace. Through her energetic work, she creates pathways to open and expand conscious awareness, bringing higher understanding and greater connection to presence. Angie is a regular guest on radio shows around the US, and she has a new book coming out at the start of January next year. Welcome to the show, Angie Johnsey. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Matt. I'm glad to be here. And hello, everyone out there listening. I see some beautiful people already texting in, so I'm glad you're here. And we can say some really inspiring things to help you.
Absolutely. Well, Angie, I'd love to jump in just to hear a little bit about you, just about your journey and how you got to this point in time. I know that you have an amazing view of the world. You have an amazing understanding of the brain, of the mind, of our subconscious and conscious mind, and how that works with our emotions and even our spiritual journey. We'd love just to hear a little bit about you, and if you can share that with the audience listening today. The intention that we have here is that this information that you are able to share and that you have, the wealth of wisdom and knowledge that you have, that people can start to understand more about how that applies to their life for their own personal health situations. So without anything else, Angie, please jump in.
Absolutely. And anything that I teach, I want it to be very practical and things that everyone can use in daily life and understand very easily. So as you said earlier, I started out in the psychiatric world in nursing and learned a lot about the mind there, and then became more interested in alternative therapy such as hypnosis. And do you want me to talk just a little bit about hypnotherapy and how that works?
Yeah, please, that would be fascinating. Thank you.
Okay, sure. In hypnotherapy, what we're doing is we're working with the deeper part of the mind. And if you let's look at the mind like an iceberg, and the conscious mind would be just like the little tip of the iceberg. But underneath that is the bigger part of the mind. And that's the deeper layers. That's where we store all of our patterns and our behaviors and our beliefs. It's all stored down in here, and it's a very big part of our interactions with the world and how we perceive things. And so what hypnotherapy does is allows, through taking the client through breathing exercises and getting the body relaxed and getting that conscious mind kind of distracted and out of the way, we can get into those deeper parts of the mind, and we can find those old patterns that are either limiting you, holding you back, causing your body to keep from healing, so many things. We can get to the root of issues through hypnotherapy. And so working with the subconscious mind, that's where it's at. Like, we have to get that body relaxed so that we can get into there and we can reprogram. And that's a lot of what I teach is, I can do that. We don't have to have a hypnotherapy session to do that, but just having a talking session, I can listen. And I can just listen to the way you perceive, or I can listen to things that you say, and it can show me some old patterns. and show me the root cause of problems, and we can help reprogram that and help make your life better.
Beautiful, Andy. That's a great introduction. Thank you for sharing that perspective. And I'd love just to, for those listening in right now, there's a lot of people that may still be trying to understand the difference between what the brain is and what the mind is, and the subconscious mind. There's a lot of these words that get thrown around now, and with mindfulness and consciousness, it can be confusing for a lot of people. Could you just help shed a bit of light on sort of the definitions, or how we can sort of start to see all these parts of the mind and the brain, and how that influences our emotions?
Sure. You may be a better expert on the brain part, but I can tell you about the mind. So the brain is more of our physical, it's housed in our physical being. And when I speak about the mind, it's more about consciousness. It's more about the thoughts that we think, the consciousness. You can think about collective consciousness. You can think about thoughts like radio waves, and so they're all around us, and we get tapped in to different thought patterns. And so when we're working with the subconscious mind, those thought patterns are kind of stored in the subconscious mind. It's what you're connected into, what you're hooked into, patterns of thinking, and the way you focus and the way you think. There's so many different ways to think, but in the collective, it can become dysfunctional. And so when that happens, we become dysfunctional. Whatever we accept into our minds as a thought, and we believe it is true, if we believe that thing is true, it goes down into our body and into our emotional body. Are you back? Yeah. So it goes into our emotional body and can cause a lot of emotional disturbance, a lot of emotional dysfunction. So that is what this is about. This is about becoming aware of what we were believing and accepting into our bodies, just like it's important to put in good foods. It's so important to put in good thoughts. If we're putting in thoughts that are supporting frustration, anger, sadness, depression, if we're listening to those thoughts consistently, that is affecting our emotional body, and then that trickles down into our physical body, and it stresses the physical body. And then the physical body can't function in its highest, best way. And that's what this is about. This is about all of us getting back into alignment with our highest, truest self. And so that comes down to foods, it comes down to thoughts, it all works together. That's something that I didn't really realize until, I heard about PH360. I just wanted to work from the spiritual and emotional and mental. And my thought was, if we get that in alignment and heal that, then the body will just take care of itself. And Matt was starting from the other end. In PH360, is if we get the body in line, we get it the foods it needs and the environment it needs, and we get it out of stress mode, then the emotions and the mental will become better. And we were both right. There was no right or wrong here. We were both right in our thinking, but what we didn't see, it took both. Both have to be combined, and we have to take care of both. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Angie, and it's such an empowering place to understand that everything you do in every plane of your life affects and interacts with everything else. And that really is one of the most powerful messages, if nothing else, from this talk today, to realize that what food goes in your mouth can influence the emotions that you have, can influence the way that your mind works, can influence your spiritual experience, and also that your spiritual experience and the way that your mind works can influence your physical body, can influence the way that everything else interacts with everything. So that's it's such a powerful understanding, Angie. Thanks for sharing that with us. And we're going to do, I want to really see if we can keep quite an interactive talk going today. We've already got amazing comments that are coming in. Everybody really loves Angie and loves hearing the voice of an angel. It's very, very, very nice. And we got to Pam, who says she loved hearing you on Healing with the Masters recently. We were there on Jen McLean's show, who we've actually had on this summit so far already. And we had a great conversation actually on that show, talking a lot about the mind and about the consciousness. And I'd love just to keep some interactive, keep this interactive, this session, because this really is about you who's listening at home. Hopefully, if you're listening in live or watching a replay, about you understanding how you can actually start to apply this knowledge about the mind and about subconscious mind, about emotions into your daily life to improve your health and improve your happiness. So as we go, there's a way you can actually raise your hand if you're listening live right now. If you want to join the call or join the hangout, you can raise your hand and join us live. So please go ahead and do that. We'll be inviting you throughout the call, maybe not straight away, but otherwise, please go ahead and pop some questions that you may have for Angie in the chat box as we go, and we'll address those throughout the call and jump sort of straight into some interesting content as we go. So Angie, just if you could share with us probably one of the most profound things that you've learned in your journey. I know that you've been on an amazing journey yourself. For people listening at home right now, what's one sort of really profound learning that you've had that they could apply or they could take with them in terms of thinking about our mind and thinking about our emotions and how they influence and impact our lives on a daily basis?
I think for me, I didn't become the expert on the mind from my psychiatric nursing or even the hypnotherapy. All of those tools helped, but it was my own experience. It was my own experience with my own dysfunctional mind and how I watched it cause so much anxiety and so much depression. And it got to a point where I had to figure out how to make myself feel better. And everything that I share is things that I have learned that made me feel better, along this process. So there's a lot. But if I narrowed it down to one thing, I think it's becoming more the observer of the mind than thinking that this is me just thinking all of these things. There's something about that empowered me and gave me a choice once I saw that these are thoughts, just like I was tuned in. You can tune into any radio station. I was tuned into a really bad station that was feeding me a lot of limiting beliefs about myself, about other people, how they didn't love me, or how people hated me. Or, you can tune into so many stations, and if it's not supporting life, it will destroy you. And it's causing so much anxiety and depression. So the key thing for me was seeing that mind as a station that I was listening to, and then seeing myself kind of over here, separate. And I was just listening. So I started becoming very aware of what I was listening to every day. When I would start to feel, your emotional body will tell you when you're listening to something that's dysfunctional. It will tell you, you'll feel bad. You'll feel just like this upset feeling. You will not feel good. So at that point, I just made myself stop. It's like, what was I just thinking about just then? What was I just listening to in my head? And I would narrow it down. It's like, oh, well, I was remembering yesterday when I was here and so said this and I thought this. At that point, I believed a lie. And my body was telling me, Angie, you believed a lie there. That's why you're feeling bad. So I would go back and review it. And I would take on a different perspective than I did when I initially had the conversation. And I would see it from a bigger point of view. And as soon as I pulled that lie out and inserted a truth, I could feel my whole emotional body just relax. And my physical body, like your shoulders will drop. It's like, oh, there it is. And that's peace. Like I had finally found a way to get myself to feel peace that I had not felt. And like, I don't remember probably since I was a kid and before, I forgot how to cope and forgot how to play and I forgot how to live. We take on all these responsibilities and we think we have to do this and this and we lose ourselves. I had lost myself. So the main thing that helped me was just to be able to separate and become the observer of the mind and realize that I had a choice. Okay, I can either listen to that and let it take me off on some dark trip where I believe some really terrible things about myself and other people. Or I can say, you know what? I don't have to believe that. Don't have to listen to that. I choose something higher. I choose to believe something higher than that. I choose the choice. And just having the choice made all the difference because it was up to me. It was up to me how I felt. It wasn't, I'm so sorry. Of course they're going to call now. It wasn't up to how everyone else was interacting with me. They no longer had the power. No one else had the power over my emotional state anymore. It was up to me and how I perceived what was happening. So, it's so empowering. You get your power back. And it all just starts with awareness of what you're listening to.
That's beautiful, Angie. Thank you so much for sharing that amazing learning. And is there some ways that, you know, some of us that are here, you know, listening in right now live can even start that process? Because the concept makes so much sense that if we can observe ourselves and actually see where we're going wrong, or listen to the stories that we've made up in our minds that may not be true, and we can change the station we're listening to. You know, the old saying, if you don't like the song that's playing, then change the record, is so true in this aspect. Is there a way we can start? Because maybe there's a lot of people who are listening in that thinking, you know, it's really just, it's hard, my circumstances are tough, I find it really hard just to get up and even have a fresh perspective, you know, my brain to even get out of the state I'm in right now. How do we actually start this process if we're looking to transition into the space that you've been able to transition into? You know, where do we actually start? How do we even start to observe, or how do we even start to realize that we need to be observing? Because, you know, it's very difficult for a lot of people just to get up and go about their day, and maybe their circumstances aren't so great right now.
It really may actually be easier than you think. For me, it just started, you know, I would wake up in the morning and I already had the sense of dread, and nothing was going on that day, like at all. Like it wasn't like I was going into the hospital to have some big surgery or nothing. I had nothing to dread whatsoever, but it was just in me. And it was that suffering that got me to the point where I had to do something. And you may be finding yourself there too. Yes, you may have physical things going on. You may have circumstances in your life going on. But let me tell you, if the mind is not under control, it can make every situation, every physical illness, every pain, every interaction with everyone 10 times worse than it actually is. Because it's going to talk to you about it all day long. You know, it's going to be talking to you about the pain and talking to you about that situation. And so, like I'm saying, it's probably easier than you think. It just starts with asking yourself the question, how am I feeling right now? Like, what I mean by that is not so much physically, but emotionally. Like, what am I feeling inside? Is it like right now? Like, just pay attention right now. Pay attention to your physical body as I'm talking to you. It may be that you've been listening to me, there's not a whole lot going on, you've been very present and paying attention. And so if you pay attention to your emotional body, you may feel nothing, like it may feel like nothingness. And that's perfect. That is the point that we want to get to, because that's peace, that's presence, everything's good. And then when we stop this call and you go on about your daily life, and maybe you're washing the dishes or you're folding clothes or you're back at work or you're in a meeting, and your mind starts. And it's so sneaky, because you're not really thinking about, oh, it's things I'm thinking. You're just kind of caught up in it. It's very alluring, like it just sucks you right in. And you come to a point where you can watch it, but then it's so seductive, it just pulls you back in, so then you think you are thinking those thoughts. You think it's you. And so you have to snap yourself back out of it. This takes practice. What I want you to know is a lot of the things I'm talking about are things that you learn on down the road. So if you're just starting this process, it just starts with asking yourself the question, how do I feel? And so what is my emotional body telling me right now? Because if it's not at peace, if it's not feeling good, it's telling you that you've been off with the mind, thinking and believing some things that are not true, or are a poor perception. It's distorted. It's a distorted perception of the truth. And so check in right now, and maybe think before I started talking to you. So I want you to think before you got on this call, or maybe first thing in the morning, how did you feel? Was it anxious? Was it nervous? Was it sad? Or maybe it was happy. Hey, if you're higher up on the scale, go for that. I mean, if you are up above peace and you're feeling happiness and joy and love, and you just feel good and you're excited and you're passionate about life, you're listening to a good station. Hey, we don't need to tweak that at all. It's all good. You're motivated. You're ready to go. We're talking about when you get down into the lower, below the peace level on the scale of emotions, and you get down into confusion and worry. A lot of us stay there. That's just below the peace one. We're trying to figure things out right there. We've got the mind talking to us, analyzing, processing. We're trying to figure things out, and we've lost some trust and faith in something. So if you're down there and you're feeling those things, that's when we need to tweak it a little bit. So you ask yourself first, how am I feeling? If it's If it's peace and above, go for it. You're good. Go on about your day. Do good things. If it's below that and it's a bothered feeling, maybe you can't put a label to it. Maybe you can't put some emotional label to it. Maybe that's just not how you work, and that's fine too. Some of us are able to know exactly what we're feeling all the time. We have a lot of emotional awareness. Maybe that's just not how you're made or how your brain thinks. Perfectly fine. We'll just say we feel bothered. All right, then next step. Well, what was I just listening to? I don't want you to say, what was I just thinking? Because that puts you back at one with that mind instead of lets you be the observer. So I want you to say, what was I just listening to in my mind? What thoughts were going through that I was totally embracing as truth? I was totally saying, yeah, that's true. Maybe it was a situation, somebody said something at work, and so your mind perceived it as they were attacking you or they were disrespecting you. And so then the mind runs with that. Like once it gets you sucked in and on that channel, it runs with that and it starts telling you all of these other circumstances that made you feel the exact same way. Or maybe they reminded you of someone in the past and that's more subconscious and you don't know what that's about. Doesn't matter. You don't have to dissect this. I just want you to realize what you were just listening to, and then I need you to change the station. It's like, this is not serving me. Listen, there's some part of us that likes to get involved with that, likes to feel like the victim. There's some part of that that's very satisfying. I don't understand it. I call that insane, but I'm telling you, we all do it. We kind of love the feeling of, and then we start telling the story to get pity, and yeah, so dysfunctional. It's not serving us, and the sooner we let that go, the better, because it's just a waste of time and energy. So it's better to just drop all that and not get involved in it. It's just drama. You could be doing so many wonderful things when you're all involved in drama. You can be healing the world. You could be sharing love with people, but you're over here in drama. Change the station. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. So grab a better thought, shift the focus and say, you know what? I hear what the mind's saying. It's so not serving me. Those thoughts are negative. They're lower. They're actually like a toxin or a poison to my physical body. I refuse that. I'm not going there. I'm going to reach for a happier, healthier thought that supports life. Yeah.
Beautiful, Angie. Wow, so eloquent. Thank you so much for sharing those words, and we've already got some great comments coming through from that. So, Angie, I'm just going to ask a couple of questions, from the viewers that we've got right now. Just to answer some more wonderful things that you're going through there. Sally asks, what are some ways that we can tap into our subconscious mind? If our beliefs are stored there and they create such an impact on our perception, what can we do to access that?
Awesome. So first step would be, you need to listen to when you're in a situation that is triggering whatever that belief is that you're wanting to change. In that moment, I need you to listen to what the mind is saying. Like, I need you to, it's usually about 4 or 5 sentences that it cycles through and it just repeats. I'm telling you, it's not this whole list. I've worked with people long enough to know, and we'll write these out, and it's usually like 4 or 5 sentences that it just repeats over and over and over in your mind. It's the program that's running. First, we have to identify the program that's running. So in the moment is the best time to do it. Stop, take out a pencil and piece of paper, or use your notes on your phone, whatever. Listen to the sentences and then write them down. He thinks I'm this, or they think, I don't know. I don't know a really good example, but you listen to your mind. It will tell you exactly what your program is. It's not hard to find it. You could probably think right now and think of 4 or 5 sentences that it tells you constantly about a situation. Write those down. And then I need you to grab a higher thought or a better program that will serve you. Whatever this program is, if you look at those 4 or 5 thoughts, think about this. What is that bringing to me? What is that attracting to me? Is that serving me? Is believing that way about that situation actually serving me at all? Probably not, or you wouldn't be considering it a problem, and you wouldn't be needing to change the program. It's not serving you. We need to do away with it. So then take those sentences and switch them around into a positive. Switch them around into something that sounds more true and more supportive to a better experience. What do you want to experience? We don't need to be repeating what we don't want to experience. We need to start repeating what we want to experience in life. Switch those sentences around. Now, a little bit about the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is more open first thing in the morning before our thinking brain gets started. Last thing at night, as we're winding down, and that the thinking mind can run a little bit, but it starts to get a little more out of the way. You need to read off that new program that you wrote. I need you to look at it like a computer program. This old program over here was creating a virus. This new program over here will support life. So do away, if you want to, something that I used to do in the beginning a long time ago is I would write those sentences down. On the other side of the paper, I'd write my new program. Then I would take that old program and I would burn it. Like, I don't know, there's something about that, doing that physical act that made it feel more complete and done. It's like, I'm done with that. I refuse to let the mind retell me that program anymore. So you want to look at your new program. Now let me tell you what will happen. If you've been running that old program a very long time, which most of us have, and you've just started a new program and you're trying to reprogram the subconscious mind, you're going to feel so much resistance to that new program inside. Like, you're going to hear your mind argue with it. Those sentences will sound so untrue. And the mind will say, you're just lying to yourself. This will never work. I know from experience. I know exactly what the mind will tell you. This is the biggest lie ever. So what that is just resistance. The subconscious mind just wants to support your current belief. It's not out to get you or anything. It just says, this is the current belief, and I'll do whatever I can to hang on to that current belief. And so the mind, you'll hear these sentences argue, no, that's not true, that's not true. You're not lying to yourself, you're reprogramming, okay? I need you to remember that when the mind starts in on you. You're not lying to yourself, you're reprogramming. Once you start reading that every morning and every night, what will happen is the resistance to those sentences, they'll start to sound more true. It'll be less and less resistance. It'll be like, oh, that did sound like this huge, big, fat lie before, and now that kind of sounds true. And once you get to the point where you're like, yeah, that sounds about right, you're done. There's no resistance to that sentence. You have reprogrammed. That's how you know. And then what you're going to see is your outer experience is going to start to change, and your life is going to start to get better. You've changed your focus. You've changed your channel. You're going to be seeing more beauty in the world. You're going to be feeling more loved. You're going to be having experiences come into you that support you. That old program was bringing you experience. Life just supports our program. That's it. Our reality is just supporting and trying to prove to us what we believe is true. That's it. That's all it's here to do. It doesn't care what we believe, what our creative genius subconscious mind is putting out. It doesn't care. Life just says, okay, this is how you want to believe and this is how you want to feel. Here it is. See? I will prove to you that this is true. Well, that's all well and good if you're putting out some good stuff and your life is fabulous. But if it is not, and you're putting out sickness, and you're putting out disease, and you're putting out, I'm hurt all the time, or I'm always emotionally upset, well, we've got to change that. There's enough suffering in the world, and that's what we're coming away from. And this is how we do it. Your mind is so creative. You can do this. I did this. You can do this. I promise you can do this. I was like, not in a good place. And it took a while. I don't want you to think, oh, I'm just going to change this program overnight. You're not. This takes consistency. It takes determination. But you can do it, and you have people around you that can support you. I'm one of those, but I'm one of a few. There are many people who do what we do, and you can find those. You can pull those to you for support. So I encourage you, please reset your program so your life can get better and better and better.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that. It's I really want to help people as well. But have you got an echo on the line? We'll continue. So I just want to share with people to understand just a little bit more about the fact that even our subconscious mind in itself is not the creative mind. You know, the creative activities that we have, the genius, even our spiritual experiences is all in our conscious mind. And our subconscious mind is just a thing that shops with patterns. It's not a thinking mind. And so to be able to change the programs that exist in those spaces means that that's what shows up for you. And Angie, just, yeah, beautiful words. And I think you've covered in such great detail, very eloquently, everything that really conceptualizes that whole experience that people can now choose. I'd love for you to take us through, I've got so many questions coming in, but I'd love for you just to be able to take us through one of the questions in a way that we can actually, you know, experience this right now on the call for those who are listening live or watching the replay. We've got a great question here from Sophia who asks, Angie, how did you retune your radio station from "No one loves me" to "I am loved"? Can you teach us how to do this now that you've reminded us that we have a choice? Would you be able to take us through just an experience now, all the things you've just described so perfectly and beautifully in words and concepts? Would you be able to take us through an experience, and maybe we could substitute, you know, "No one loves me" for "I'm not important," or, you know, whatever it might be at the particular point in time for anyone who's listening in live right now. Angie, would you feel comfortable to be able to take us through some sort of experience like that, where we can actually shift something or transition for something?
Yeah. So you mean like a visualization or a meditation where we?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so everybody out there, let's close our eyes. And let's just kind of get very comfortable and center ourselves. And I want you to take a really good cleansing deep breath. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And what we're doing is we're just relaxing our body. And we're telling our conscious mind that we're ready to relax. And we're ready to do some healing. And we're ready to do some reprogramming. And just saying those words to you, it just kind of reset your focus. And I just want you to pay attention to my voice. I want you to put all of your focus on my voice. And you can listen to the space of silence around my voice, between the words I say. And we're just going to start to relax the body. Because the more the body is relaxed, it gets more in that natural healing state. And so all these wonderful chemicals start to be released. And maybe the pain that you may be experiencing starts to decrease. Just holding your body in a state of relaxation is extremely healing. So just follow my voice. Nothing important to do right now. Nothing important to think about. I'm going to take you to a place where you can connect to the truest and highest part of you. And when you connect there will be no doubt in your mind that you are loved, that you are needed here. You will feel connected to all that is. And that need for importance, it really just won't even matter. Because you will feel so safe and secure within the highest part of yourself that thought will be very far from your mind. That thought of, I'm not important. That really comes from a lower part of our mind that doesn't understand things. It's not connected to the highest part of you. It's connected to a very powerless part of you. And so we're going to leave that behind right now. And we're going to connect to the part of you that is connected to everything, connected to all power, connected to all love. Those words that you may be hearing the mind say is of, I'm not loved, I don't feel loved, they don't love me. If they loved me, they would do this or they would do that. And it creates all these expectations. It's distorted. It doesn't understand love. It doesn't understand what love is. So what I need you to do is come up higher with me so that you know that those words that the mind speaks to you are lies and totally irrelevant to the powerful being and the powerful soul that you are. So in your mind, I want you to just visualize. We'll do a very quick visualization, and you can repeat this for yourself. So you're standing at the bottom of a staircase, and over in the corner, it's a loudspeaker, and it's repeating all of these phrases and sentences and these faulty programs that keep you down here on the ground, keep you lower, keep you suffering, keep you in emotional roller coasters, keeps you in drama. There you are, down at the bottom of the stairs. And in front of you is a gate. And this gate represents a choice. But what many of us don't know is that we have that choice. So we just stand there and we listen to this loudspeaker as if, you know, it's just truth. We can't get away from it. It is what it is. I just have to deal with it. It's just how it is. So we listen to this, and we're being bullied in our mind. We're being held back. It's abuse. We're allowing our mind that's connected to that lower collective consciousness, we're allowing it to abuse us, to tell us we can't, to tell us we're not this, we're not that, we're not loved, we're not important, we're being abused. And we're standing here behind this gate thinking we don't have a choice, and we just have to listen to this loudspeaker all day long. Now I want you to see yourself. I want you to realize, you just kind of wake up for a second, and you're like, that's not in my mind, or that's not in me, but I'm listening to something else. I want you to turn around, and I want you to look at that loudspeaker. Look at it and say, you know what? I'm not listening to you anymore. You're making me miserable. You're making my relationships miserable. You're holding me back. You're making me believe I can't do anything. And I know I can. I know I have so many capabilities. I know I have so much love to give. And you're going to turn around and you turn your back to that loudspeaker and you open that gate. You're free. You're free at this point. But what will happen is you're standing outside the gate, and at first with this practice, you're not going to be very far from the gate. You can still hear the speaker. And what's going to happen is it's going to start telling you things, and you're going to start listening again, and you're going to shut that gate behind you again. But then you'll be like, you know what? This is making me miserable. And every time you recognize it, every time you do it, it will become easier and easier to step away from it. Don't give up on yourself. Just be very patient, because that loudspeaker has a lot of momentum right now, has a lot of power, and you've been listening to it for a long time, believing it's you. So just be patient with yourself, but you are coming away from it. This is your first step to freedom. I promise you, you can get there. If I did it, you can do it. Step away, back away again. Not listening to that. It's hurting me. Close the door. Now look up. Look at those stairs in front of you. Oh, it's so bright. There's just such beautiful bright lights above you. There's so much potential. There's so much power. There's so much love. There's so much everything. It feels so much better up there. See yourself walking up those stairs. Just feel the weight fall off of you. Feel that emotional freedom. Feel how your body feels just to relax. Go up all the way to the top. And I want you to promise yourself that from this day forward, when you find yourself feeling bad, you will use this visualization. You'll see yourself turn around and look at that loudspeaker and say, I'm not listening to these lies anymore. It's not the people around us that are hurting us. It's what our mind is telling us about those people. It's what the lies the mind is saying. Well, they're thinking this or they're thinking that or they don't love you. It's not the people and their actions. And we can't control that anyway, but we can control what we listen to and how we perceive each and every event we find ourselves in. And we can choose to know that we're loved regardless of what anyone else does around us. We have that choice, and when we know we have that choice, we have that power. And we have that power, we have that emotional stability. So I want you to see yourself standing at the top of those stairs, and I want you to feel the freedom of being away from that bully in your mind. And I want you to feel your body start to heal, because it's no longer being fed that toxin or that poison. Now I want you to take a deep breath and feel this is you. This is the real you. This is the you that you were before you started listening to that voice. This is the truest and the purest, freest you possible. There you are. You got no worries. You got nothing bothering you. It's just peace, nothing really going on. You're free. So I want you to this may be the first time you felt it in a very long time. I want you to just stand there and feel it. It's quite awesome. It feels like so much relief to not have to worry about anything, just to be at peace. To know that you're okay. You're okay. Society will tell us it takes years to feel this way. There's so much emotional stuff we have to get over and traumas, and we have to work through this and process this before we can feel this feeling. That is so not true. You can feel it. It's a breath away. It's a choice. There you are. Feeling very free, very relaxed. And when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes into the new you.
Wow, Angie, that was absolutely amazing. And if people are still with us, as opposed to passed out in a state of bliss, then would love to hear some of your comments about your experience there with Angie. And for those listening live or replays, please go out and find out some more about Angie at angiejohnsy.com. And Angie also has an amazing Facebook group called Aware, Awake and Amazed. And that's
Awake, Aware, Amazed.
Awake, Aware and Amazed, my apologies. But please check that out and please join it. Angie has amazing inspirational comments and stories and journeys and experiences on there all the time. And it really is an amazing community, which I'm part of. And I must say that Angie's one of the very few people in the world that I'll let anywhere near my mind or my body. And I know, Angie, you're booked out till next year usually for appointments, but angiejohnsy.com, you can actually work with Angie personally and share in the wealth of knowledge that she has. So, Angie, thank you so much for sharing your amazing wisdom and amazing experiences with us today. The comments are already coming through from what we've just experienced. So thank you so much for taking us through that. And I'd love just to jump to a few more questions here. For those that are listening in, again, this is a personalized health summit. We're all about helping you understand how all this information applies to you. And I think that would be very fair to say we've already got well into that today. Linda asks, Angie, I'm starting to understand that my prolonged illness is due to having a mum that had a lifelong illness. I've been tracking my negative thoughts and shifting them to positive statements. I'm seeing improvement. Can you offer anything to deepen what I'm already doing? Thank you so much. And I just wanted to quickly say on that, first, Linda, congratulations on taking some great steps in the right direction. And Angie, maybe you could comment on this in a way that anyone listening in right now who may be experiencing a similar thing in a way that some of us or some people may feel like they take on other people's emotions or other people's diseases, or maybe we feel like we are the same as our parents, or we had a mum or dad we never wanted to be like and we feel like we're the same as them. Could you just share some insight maybe for everyone listening, how that can apply to them, or how we can start to shift some ways that we perceive things, or move out of the space that we're in right now?
Sure. And we absolutely do that. We're conditioned, we think the way we watch as kids, we come in all fresh and excited, and then we start to watch how our parents interact with the world, how they interact with each other, how they interact with us. And that's when the lies start to come on us. We're here full of truth. And then we get this perception that is distorted, and we start to believe these things about ourselves. So first of all, congratulations on even seeing the similarity, because most people, they'll resist that, especially with our moms. I don't know what that is. We don't want to be anything like our moms for some reason, or I didn't. That may just be me. But so that is awesome that you saw, that you watched her, and I would really need a little bit more information about it to give you more on that. But just seeing that you have those similarities in how you believe, and the suffering that you watched her go through is now you're acting it out. And there could be so many different subconscious reasons for that. It could come from guilt of feeling like, well, maybe your relationship was bad or something, and so now subconsciously you feel like you should suffer in the same way she did. So there's so many different aspects that we could look at, and it would really take just kind of working it through. But the fact that you're already feeling better and you're already seeing results just says that you're doing something right. I don't know exactly what you're doing or the thoughts that you did shift, but congratulations on shifting those. And so the advice that I would probably give is just to keep doing that emotional work that you've been doing. And just, life is going to show you those beliefs. We don't have to go digging for it. You just watch life and watch what triggers you, and then deal with it in that moment and say, oh, that really upset me, or that really bothered me. Well, there's a reason that it bothered you. It's because there's an old emotional wound set up in there that either as kids or we just didn't know how to handle or didn't know how to release and deal with. But now we're adults, and now it's time. It's time to do this emotional work and get very clear, because the clearer that we become, the clearer the whole collective becomes, the healthier the whole collective becomes, and we can start to come away. Sorry, Odie. Sorry. We can come away from illness and disease if we can start to become very clear. Sorry, totally lost my train of thought, but I have a package.
That's great, Angie. Thank you so much for sharing that perspective, and thanks so much for the question, Linda. I think that's it really is just a great understanding. This call's just been so full of information and so full of perspective that can help us change, and we're really starting to understand a lot more about, even when we talk about doing the emotional work, it sounds like to a lot of people it's very hard. It's going to take many, many years to work through all my emotions and all this stuff that's there. And the understanding that you're bringing, Angie, is just really so powerful that actually it comes down to our mind and our beliefs, and our beliefs are the things that really determine what our emotional experience is. And so if we can be aware of our beliefs, or as you term, programs, if we know what our programs are that are playing, or our beliefs that exist, then we can start to choose different beliefs. We can start to choose to turn down the loudspeaker and start to choose to listen to a different story, and start to choose to play a different program and different sound that we want to listen to. And so that's really the most important thing to be aware of in this this whole transition from a place where we may not be so happy to a place of happiness, is to really understand that we have the choice to change the tune that's playing. We have the choice to change everything in our life and everything that exists in that capacity. And it really is just as simple as becoming aware of the programs that are playing, so that we can actually choose to change those. So it's just a great perspective, Angie, and thanks so much for sharing that. I just wanted to jump to, we've got a question. We've had so much amazing response from the visualization you just took us through, Angie. There's one question here, a comment from Marilyn, who says, Angie, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that visualization. but I also felt a bit of resistance within me to that process, almost like what will happen? What will change in my life if my beliefs change? What if it's too much? How will I adapt? So she also says it's good for me. I know it's good for me, but I feel somewhat afraid. Do you have any advice to me? And that's such a great question, Marilyn, because there's so many people in this situation that it's scary. It's the fear of stepping into the unknown as well. So Angie, could you give us some insight for Marilyn, for everybody else who maybe is really understanding these concepts and really keen to get started and really so excited about it, but also somewhat scared and afraid about what might be on the other side of this?
Absolutely. Well, that is perfect, because that fear is just the resistance, like I was talking about earlier. You've got this set program that you've been running for a very long time. Change can be very scary, even when consciously, like logically, we know this change will be absolutely great for us. There's something in us that says, yeah, but how does that look? Well, what will that change? Or how will my life look? I'm used to being in this place. It's not fun. It's not comfortable. It's miserable, but it's my little comfort zone. And I know I'm kind of safe here. So what I would say to you would be, first of all, it's great that fear came up, because that says to me that you're ready to change the program. That's all it is. Like, the fear, I don't want that to be this big thing of, oh, I'll never be able to do this because of all the fear. I don't want you to see that fear as this big wall that's blocking you from making this change. I want you to see this fear as a positive sign that there's a bigger part of you that's ready to push through it. And I want you to see this fear as minimal. When we make something a very big deal, that's when we have a harder time working through it. This is minimal. This little fear that came up, perfect. It came up so it can be brought into the light of your attention and say, you know what, there it is, there's fear. I'm kind of afraid of what this might look like. Okay, but I have a choice still. I mean, there's fear, but I still have a choice. Do I want to stay? The choice is, do I want to stay in my comfort zone where I think negative things sometimes and my body's not really acting as it should, and I could stay there, my choice. Or I can say, you know what, I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how this is going to change my life. Another thing, I don't know how other people around me are going to react to my change. That's another biggie. I find this a lot with weight loss clients, is they have this fear come up, and it's a subconscious thing of when they do start to get smaller, it draws more attention to themselves, or, so I totally understand the fear that's coming up about the change. So again, choice. I can stay here. It's fine if you choose to stay here, but there's a part of you I can feel that wants to step into more light, to feel more love, to feel more enjoyment, to feel more life. And so you make the choice. You know what? I don't know what it's going to look like. And sometimes we have to do things afraid. We just have to say, fear, come on, let's go. Yeah, this is uncomfortable. This is different for me, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it to feel better. And that's what anything that I talk to people about is, to feel better. I want you to feel better, because I know what it feels to feel bad all the time, every day. And I know that there's a way that you can get to a place where you feel better. And yes, it can be scary. Yes, it can be intimidating. Yes, your mind, and listen, that fear, the mind will feed that fear and say, yeah, but you're too afraid. You can't do this. You should just stay right where you are. You can listen to that, or you can turn around and listen and look at that loudspeaker and say, you know what, you're holding me back from something that's so amazing, and I'm not going to let you do that anymore. Step outside and say, you know what, this wasn't so bad. Make little changes. You don't have to do all this at one time. Little bitty steps. Become comfortable with that step, and then take another one. Be comfortable with that step. We don't have to jump in all at one time. You can if you like, but you don't have to. So just do it, is my advice to you. Just push through the fear. You will be okay. I promise you.
Beautiful words. Thank you again, Angie. And it's just been such an amazing call with such amazing content and such amazing information for people, but very, very tangible. And again, this is the Personalised Health Summit, where we're really wanting to help bring so much information to you so that you can feel that you can actually transition and take this and transition your life as you need to, from the space that you're into where you want to be. And Angie, just thank you so much for being here today, because I think you've really brought all that to our attention and actually taken us through some journeys and experiences on this call that are really going to help shift a lot of people, even from the space they're at right now. I really encourage you guys to listen to this again if you need to, and listen to Angie's words, because they're so powerful. And this is, you know, such an important space in time where we're now understanding a lot more about, you know, the future of humanity, about the future of health. I like to speak a lot about the future of health in many different spaces, and the mind is just such a powerful thing that's becoming more and more understood, and more powerful in terms of how we can actually start to relate to the world and how we can control a lot of our own health and our own future that will show up. So Angie, just to finish off with, I'd love to just get your perspective and have you share a little bit about what you see for the world, what you see coming up, what you see in the next 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years. What's possible for humanity if we can start to understand more about our minds, more about how they control our emotions, and we can choose to be in a place of happiness and peace and love and gratitude versus some other things that we may be experiencing right now. What's possible for us, and how does that look? How can we achieve this?
Oh, listen, I'm very excited about where we are right now. We're just at the beginning stages of shifting the momentum from most people being tapped in, plugged into that more negative collective consciousness that we've been in for years. I mean, we've been destroying ourselves. We've been in poor health. We've been in disease. We've been in emotional, mental misery. But because of all of the teachings that are coming now, and because of all the people who are opening up to those teachings, and PH360 is such a big part of that, with getting the body turned back on so that we can reach and tap into those higher levels of consciousness, those higher levels of thought. When I say consciousness, just think thought, that we're thinking in a higher way. We're thinking in a healthier way. So more of us were like, where it was the scales were, you know, more lower, was much bigger, and there was just a little part of us that was ready and listening. Now this is shrinking and this is getting bigger. We're just at the beginning, really big pushing off point of shifting that. And it is so exciting. And the more of us that can come together and share this message, just like here in this platform on, you know, the online summit and what Jennifer McLean does, like, the more of us that can listen and take this in and start supporting the higher thought level with our thoughts and say, you know what, I've been supporting the lower, more negative one, but I'm going to join this team because it's time to shift. And the reason we want to switch teams is not just because it's going to help our personal life and our lives are going to get better. We're going to have a better relationship with life. But every time you do it for you, we're all doing it together. Like, you're adding to this bigger team, this bigger collective that is ready to be healthy. We're bringing, and I hope this doesn't seem too out there, but it's like heaven to earth. We were living in this hell reality before, but because of the higher understandings that are coming in right now, and all of this information and all these programs like PH360 that's helping us get there, we're shifting in such a fast way now. And so what that's going to look like is when we're thinking better and we're happier, we're loving more. And when we're happier, we're not grouchy and at each other's throats, and we're not stealing things and killing each other. The crime goes away. You know, we're just loving and respecting one another. And then when we're happy, our bodies are turned on. There's less, we're not distracted by illness and disease. It doesn't even have to be part of our awareness. We've given so much power and energy and thought energy to sickness and disease through TV and commercials, and you're going to come down with this. And we're not doing that anymore. We're talking about health now. We're feeding the mind and the collective consciousness words about health. And the more that we focus on health, the healthier we will become. We can't be talking about disease anymore. If we want to shift, we've got to do what Matt's doing with PH360. We've got to be talking about health and wellness and how healthy we are. And then our mind, our creative mind, is going to start producing that in our reality. And it's going to be wonderful. It's already getting better and better and better. I'm so excited to be a part of that and a part of that message. And I'm excited for all of us. It's getting better. And I'm happy about it.
Beautiful, Angie, and thank you so much for being here. please go and check out ph360.me if you haven't already. It is really just amazing first tangible steps. And we thank them so much for them sponsoring this in a huge way this summer. Angie, thank you so much for your words of wisdom. AngieJohnsy.com. There's a link to the Facebook page that's there. Let me just make sure I get this right. Awake, Aware and Amazed. Please check that out on Facebook, and please join Angie's conversation. As you've probably gathered on this call, Angie is not just an amazing wealth of wisdom and knowledge in the mind and consciousness. She's also a very powerful spiritual leader in the fields of consciousness. So if you are, I just wanted to share, Angie, if you are listening to this and you are a healer in some capacity and you want to engage more with Angie, she leads an international collaboration of a lot of gifted healers. And so please send us a message to support@onlinehealthsummit.com if you feel that you need to connect with Angie in a greater capacity, and we can organise something there. So Angie, thank you so much for sharing your time, your wisdom, and your connection to many different spaces and places with us today on this call. I know for a fact that everyone on this call got a huge, amazing amount of information from this, and those who are listening to the replays will get exactly the same connection that they've been able to experience, and the understanding that we now have a choice to change our lives, and it all starts with a conversation in our own mind, and just to be the observer and to be listening as opposed to thinking about what's going on. It's just such a powerful perspective to share. So Angie, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. I know you're super busy and super popular and important in your circle, so thank you very much, and thank you all to the listeners for dialing in or listening to this replay. I really appreciate you making the time and investing the time into your own health and happiness, because that's why we're here. So please go ahead and join the Facebook page so you can keep up to date with all the latest and greatest in speakers and schedules and bonuses and gifts. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get the free video replays of all the summits sessions that we're having. So thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. We shall talk to you soon. Thanks again, Angie, and look forward to catching up on the next call.
Okay, thanks.